الله أكبر والموت لفات.
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 الله أكبر والموت للطاغية فات.
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 الله أكبر والتكبير لعملاء فات.
الله أكبر والتكبير لعملاء فهد.
And then when you can, pan up to the embassy.
And it's really shameful when a government like this, which is heavily supported by the United States, and our troops are right now in the country, so-called defending them from hostile powers, when they turn on their own people, their own religious scholars, and try to suppress the freedom of speech that they have. And all they are doing is expressing what is in their religious text.
We're outside the Embassy of Saudi Arabia in Washington, where there is a very unusual demonstration sponsored by Islamic student organizations in the United States against the Saudi regime, against the oppression that's taking place there, and against the very unusual, quite massive arrests that have taken place in the last couple of weeks. It's a very restrained demonstration of maybe 40 or 50 people. Press release that's being handed out, and hopefully a spokesman behind me.
Okay.
Would you tell us about the demonstration?
Yes.
And why you've organized it?
Yes. This demonstration is being organized by many Islamic centers and foundations and groups in this country to protest the recent Saudi government attacks on some scholars, intellectuals and university professors because they dare to voice their opinion, which had contradictions and criticism to the government of Saudi Arabia.
So what has happened? How many people have been arrested? And
it's very difficult to give a precise number. However, you know, the number is in the hundreds. When we're talking about people and youth and common people, there is at least 50 scholars and intellectuals and university professors being jailed right now.
okay, now usually the Saudi regime doesn't do that. Usually they try to buy people off or co-opt them or pretend that there isn't any dissension. Why? What has changed that has caused this kind of tension?
That what you said is true, and we could mark the change point with the Gulf crisis. The Saudi government has lost a lot of money, lost a lot of confidence in people around it, and lost confidence in the people, their people, in a way, or in such manner that these people used to just follow the Saudi leaders without much criticism of anything.
You're saying
But
the intellectual and religious leaders have lost, are critical of the government, no longer trusting of the government.
Yes, because of the way the Gulf crisis took place and the way the Saudi government brought the American army and the rest of the world to protect their own benefit and interest, and it was not for the good of the country.
But yet the American government has been protecting the Saudi government for 20 years, and before that the British.
People did not know, even though rumors were there, some news and some report has been there, but it's different when you see it and touch it by the hand.
What do you think is going to happen in the future in Saudi Arabia?
I am not, capable of predicting that, but I know for sure that this confrontation is going to continue because the people of Saudi Arabia have proved themselves in the last 3 weeks that they will stand for whatever they think is right for them.
But doesn't the government have enough guns and enough American covert capability and enough money? I mean, you're not really expecting a serious challenge to the Saudi government, are you?
If you know, I think the challenge has been serious enough already, because the government of Saudi Arabia is not like the rest of the Arab government. Like their ways of dealing with their enemies, or those who are against it, is a little bit different, and their response is also different. There is one thing that that a news report have brought to hear from Saudi Arabia, that many of the princes have taken their money out of the country already, and it's small incidents. When we go back to the time of the Gulf crisis, the Saudi banks were emptied of the money because all of the royal family took the money out. So the people, Fahad is not Saddam, he is not Hosni Mubarak, he is not the Gaddafi of Libya. They cannot deal with the crises in the same way, and I think this last week confrontation has taken a serious impact on the Saudi government.
Let me ask you about American policies in the Middle East. Iraq, the war with Iraq. You said you trace the tension in Saudi Arabia back to when the Saudi government invited, or maybe the Americans imposed the invitation, the American army to come to the Gulf. What policies would you like to see between the United States and Iraq? What would
Iraq, the policy should be directed towards the benefit of the Iraqi people, and not the sole interest of the American government with Saddam, because the imposed sanctions have harmed only people. This is a fact that everybody knows, and everybody has talked about. They should be removed, and if they are interested in doing something to Saddam, they should follow other ways.
Okay.
It's not what is doing now. What they are doing now is hurting only people, and not the government.
What about the Palestinian-Israeli deal that the Americans signed a mile from here on the White House lawn?
Yes, that's another time bomb, because like say, let's talk about the Israeli government. After 30 years of trying to discredit Yasser Arafat, they finally decided to so that they don't have to deal with the rest of the Palestinian people. They extended hand and they brought him in, and he's living under their security basically now. I think
But you said it's a time bomb. Why is it a time bomb?
Because this is not going to work. The Palestinians are not going to accept Arafat anymore. And maybe Arafat will die, and the next guy is not going to be as foxy as Arafat is.
And what do you think the Palestinians are going to do? They're going to restart the Intifada?
That's very possible, and I think there is a very good chance of another war between the Arabs and the Israelis.
Who's going to fight the war? There isn't. Who's going to fight the war?
Yes, if these puppets that we have at the top of our countries at the moment are still going to continue to be there, then we are not going to have war. Because Israel can slap them in any way it wants.
When you speak of puppet regimes, who do you have the Egyptians in mind?
I am including every Arab regime that exists in the world right now. All of them. All of them.
From Morocco to Pakistan?
Yes, including Libya, which is my country.
Including Libya?
Yes. So these if Gaddafi or Saddam plays the card of trying to be anti-West, we know for a fact that he's never done anything to please the West. Actually, what Saddam did was exactly what America looking for, to destroy his army, which was going to be the army of the Iraqi people. If
you mean what he did by invading Kuwait?
Yes.
You think
and by
he was
insisting
tricked into doing it?
Maybe, and maybe he was tricked into it because he thought he can be the leader of the world. I don't know, but the fact that he did it is good enough for me. And insisting on staying in Kuwait, and the insistence of America on fighting Saddam is very clear. It is different from the rest of the American policy everywhere in the world. Why the Americans did not do anything that's serious when it comes to the Bosnian Serbs, for example?
Because we might that might cause a lot of American casualties.
Oh yeah. That's one reason.
There's no oil.
Yeah.
Or money, or petrol.
Or petrol. Yeah, I understand that. If I were the American leader, I probably would have done the same. But I brought the point simply because America talks about the objectivity and all what it does, especially the foreign policy.
But let's talk about your own group. You have maybe 30 people here.
Yes.
Most of them are students, I think.
Maybe some of them I know that they are businessmen.
Okay.
Yeah.
There are no women here. I guess that's because of your cultural.
That's one of the reasons. And simply, most of these people are not. Maybe only very few of them, are from the DC area. We have, come long distances, and the expenses and whatnot, made us.
Well, what happens after this? I mean, Washington and America are big places. You have a demonstration. There are. I don't see the national television crews here.
Yeah.
What are you going to do after today to continue to raise these issues?
We will definitely do all what we can to keep the issue alive until these prisoners come out. The Saudis specifically don't like the media pressure, and this is what we are trying to do here. Sometimes, just to come here on their national day, and some of these guests who are supposed to be diplomats would see us, protesting.
Oh, this is National Day.
This is the Saudi National Day. That's right. Okay, and this is Saudi Arabia, and this is their main, after Israel, it is the main American ally there. Our demonstration here is not going to affect the American policy towards Saudi Arabia, at least with this demonstration here, but hopefully we'll raise the issue, and maybe some of the American policymakers would think about what's going on.
And if the Saudi officials release most of the people they've taken into custody, then what?
Then we will be happy with the government then, and I hope that will be a step that the government changes the way it deals with its people.
So you're not calling for the overthrow of the Saudi government?
If the Saudi government continues to deprive the people of their basic human right, we would like to see the throne, yes. We would like to see it changed. But if the Saudi government changes its policy, there is no need to do that.
Do you think it's possible that the House of Saud is going to change its basic policies?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
Yes, all of the leaders or those who are in the line to be the king are above 70 years old. I don't think they're going to change.
Mr. Bandar is somewhere in that line, and he's nowhere near 70 years old.
He can't be.
Mr. Bandar is the ambassador of Saudi Arabia, who in fact built this building across the street. Actually, he redecorated it and bought it. Before 10 years ago, the Saudis had a very small, unimpressive embassy on 18th Street near Dupont Circle.
Yeah.
Bandar changed things considerably. So there are many members of the royal family who are in their 20s and 30s.
Yes, they are about 5,000 male members in the royal family. At least this is the number that circulates around. Not everybody is going to be in the line. But let's talk about Bandar himself. Bandar is the son of a black woman. Okay.
Of a slave.
Of a slave, yes. And his father did not recognize him until very recently. Until Bandar had to prove himself, worthy of why should Bandar, be standing and defending such policies?
And yet he's a very important player in Washington politics. In fact, many people believe that it was he who convinced the royal family to allow the Americans to land.
The Time magazine has also brought a report that said, he spearheaded the lobby that was lobbying for war against Saddam here in DC.
Plus, he has cooperated closely with the Zionist lobby in town. Everybody knows that.
Yes.
Plus, his basic interest is American protection for Saudi Arabia.
Yes.
Which means the House of Saud.
That's very true. That's why many now that these things has become obvious, now many people in Saudi Arabia are not accepting their government policies anymore, which they used to accept because the fact that they did not know and they were not so sure about how striking is the loyalty of the Saudi government to America specifically.
Well, see, that's where I'm a little confused. On the one hand, you say you're demonstrating for human rights and you want the release of the people that have been taken into custody.
Yes.
On the other hand, I ask you about are you calling for the overthrow of the Saudi government? And the full context of your answer is yes, but the specific answer was no.
No, I will repeat what I have said. If the Saudi government to continue to be like it is now, we want to see it thrown away.
And when I asked you, do you think it is possible for it to change very much, you said no, you didn't.
Yes, I don't believe that this is going to happen, and maybe the essence of my answer is it will go.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for this chance to talk to you.
Well, you've heard the purpose of the demonstration. It's unusual that there's ever a demonstration here in front of the Saudi embassy. It's National Day, apparently. There are not a lot of film crews. There is not a lot of attention. There are not a lot of people. But nevertheless, there is a cause. There are some basic issues here. And America could wake up one morning and could find that the situation in Saudi Arabia could be much different than it is at the moment. One of the speakers is now beginning his recitation of grievances. It's in Arabic, and I think it will be in English. Let's try to get it.
ينهاكم الله إنما ينهاكم الله عن الذين قاتلوكم في الدين وأخرجوكم من دياركم وظاهروا على إخراجكم أن تولوهم ومن يتولهم فأولئك You have to condemn the action of the traitor Fahd, who doesn't have any relationship to Islam. He doesn't have loyalty to his people. He is a traitor to Allah. He is not the protector of the Haramain. He is the traitor of the Haramain. He is Khain al-Haramain. Fahd ibn Abd al-Aziz.
Try this again.
We want you to know that these people are good for nothing. They are good for nothing. Who betrays his people, he will betray you. Those who are with the Satan will never succeed. Those who are with God will succeed. This is the ayah, this is the sign of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Jesus, Moses, Ibrahim, and all the prophets and the messengers. The clean, good people of this country must condemn Fahd, the traitor criminal, Fahd and his Gestapo, who killed the ulama, Fahd and his Gestapo, who made the area as the biggest prison in the world. Fahd and his Gestapo made Arabia as the biggest prison in the world. There is no freedom there. There is no dignity there. They massacred people. Don't ever support them. Allah will curse you. Jesus will witness on you with Musa and with Ibrahim and Muhammad. All the prophets and messengers will witness on you that you support the traitor who took the ulama as prisoners, massacred women. He is a traitor and a coward. He is not more than a bootlicker. This man who now in Riyadh is fearing everything. He is fearing everybody in Arabia. On a small city like Al-Qasim, he is sending all the troops, and he might need for the call of those who betray their nations, to go and bomb Qasim. Be aware of this Dajjal. Be aware of this liar. The people in this country must support the word of Haqq, must support the word of truth. Otherwise, even Jesus, whom you follow or believe you follow, he will curse you in this dunya and in this akhirah. This man, Fahd, took a lot of people as prisoners. He betrayed every person in that area in the Middle East. And we urge you not to believe him. Whatever he says, he's a liar. His embassy is well known in the conspiracy against the peace, the freedom and the dignity of the world.
Allahu Akbar! Allahu Akbar! Allahu Akbar!
Allahu Akbar!
Allahu Akbar!
Allahu Akbar!
Allahu Akbar!
Allahu Akbar!
يا فهد شيل ايدك شعب المسلم ما يريدك
فهد شيل ايدك
شعب المسلم ما يريدك يا فهد شيل ايدك شعب المسلم ما يريدك
يا فهد شيل ايدك شعب المسلم ما يريدك
يا فهد شيل ايدك شعب المسلم ما يريدك
يا فهد شيل ايدك شعب المسلم ما يريدك
يا فهد شيل ايدك شعب المسلم ما يريدك
يا فهد شيل ايدك شعب المسلم ما يريدك
الله اكبر على كل ظالم الله اكبر على كل ظالم
الله أكبر والموت للظالمين
الله اكبر والموت للظالمين
الله أكبر والموت للظالمين
الله اكبر والموت للطغاة
الله أكبر والموت للطغاة
الله اكبر على من طغى وتكبر
الله أكبر على من طغى وتكبر
الله اكبر ممن نخاف ونحذر
الحرية لعلماء الأمة الحرية لعلماء الأمة freedom for the scholars of the Muslim Ummah.
This is Saudi National Day, and we're here at a demonstration that's being sponsored by Islamic organizations who have been incensed by the wave of arrests and torture in Saudi Arabia. Let me read their press release. The Saudi embassy's in the background, and 30 or 40 Islamic students, many of whom have come into the city from elsewhere, are here with signs. Press release from the Organization of International Justice in Canada, from the Action Committee for the Rights of Middle Eastern Minorities in the U.S. The political situation in Saudi Arabia has been rapidly deteriorating lately. This fact has been manifested in different ways since the Gulf crisis, but especially in the way the ruling family has grown intolerant of free expression regarding any matter of public policy. Over the past 4 years, the Saudi dictators have repeatedly subjected dozens of clerics, university professors, lawyers, and human rights advocates to dismissals from jobs, arrest, interrogation, and imprisonment. Today in Saudi Arabia, voicing one's opinion regarding any public issue in a peaceful and responsible manner is considered to be a major crime by the ruling family. The events that happened in the cities of Buraydah and Riyadh during the past 3 weeks are strong testimony of the dictatorship's continuing disrespect and violation of their citizens' basic human rights. On September 13th, 1994, King Fahd brought, in a massive campaign of terror, tanks, troops, and special forces to arrest Mr. Salman al-Aude and hundreds of supporters and advocates of change in the country. A few days later, the secret police arrested and imprisoned Dr. Safa al-Hawali. Both al-Aude and Dr. al-Hawali are university lecturers and prominent reform visionaries. We, the Muslims in North America, are shocked to learn of these unprovoked attacks and are very concerned about the safety and well-being of the detained. We ask the Saudi government to release immediately all those it has detained recently. We ask them to immediately stop the harassment of innocent people and their families by the police. We hold the government responsible for the safety of those it has detained. We will not rest until our demands are met. This is signed by Dr. Hassan al-Ladi and Mohammed A. al-Ghamdi. It's an interesting and responsible protest. Obviously, it's not going to be taken notice of by very many. There was one other camera crew here earlier, and they've gone. There's no national press, and I'm not sure what the follow-up is. But nevertheless, it does represent this organization, and this demonstration does represent a trend of opposition to the regime in Saudi Arabia and to other regimes that are identified with the United States in that part of the world. And the situation seems to be far more tense in the Gulf as well as in North Africa, from Algeria to Egypt, than most Americans appreciate. One can remember, of course, that it was only months before the Islamic Revolution in Iran that the Shah of Iran was in Washington, and Jimmy Carter, as much as he was an advocate of human rights, was toasting the Shah as a symbol of stability and the preservation of American national interests in the Middle East. A few months later, the Shah was completely gone. That's not a prediction what will take place. I don't think anyone can predict with any certainty what will happen in the Middle East, what regimes will stay, what regimes will go, what kind of revolutions will break out. What one can predict is that the tensions are far more significant, the political contradictions far more significant than the American press and the American government want the American people to know, which is why we have this program, Mideast Realities, and why we hope you'll tune in every week at this same time and watch our program on this channel. And please, if you like the program and are finding it interesting, please get in touch with us. The phone and fax and email numbers appear at the end of the program.